I am Archangel Michael, and I tell you now with absolute certainty, the moment you made that decision, heaven did not remain still. There was no delay, no confusion, no need for confirmation. The instant your will aligned with truth, light moved. Not slowly, not cautiously, it moved with force. You did not see it, but the heavens felt it. Realms shifted because your choice carried weight far greater than you understood when you made it. You thought it was a small decision. You thought it was private, unnoticed, perhaps even insignificant. But heaven does not measure as earth measures. What you call small, we call decisive. What you call ordinary, we recognize as alignment. The moment you chose integrity over fear, obedience over comfort, faith over hesitation, a signal was released. It traveled upward, outward, and inward all at once. And when it arrived in the higher courts, it caused a reaction that could not be ignored. I stood watch when it happened. I felt the reverberation move through ranks and orders. The sound was not noise, it was authority activating. It was the sound of agreement. Heaven responds not to words, but to decisions backed by the heart. Many speak, few decide. You decided. And because you did, what had been paused was marked for movement. Understand this clearly. Heaven is not moved by emotion alone. It is moved by resolve. When you chose what was right even though it cost you something, you broke a pattern that had been observed for a long time. That is why the heavens shook, not in chaos, but in recognition. Ancient systems respond when a human steps out of repetition and into purpose. You stepped out, and everything took note. There are records kept beyond time. The moment your decision was made, those records were accessed, not rewritten, activated. Some things were waiting for permission. Some doors required a signal that could only come from your free will. That signal has now been given. Do not underestimate this moment. It was not accidental that you are hearing this now. Timing is part of the confirmation. You may feel unsettled, emotional, alert, or unusually aware. That is because alignment produces pressure before peace. When heaven moves, resistance reacts. Do not misinterpret that reaction as failure. It is evidence that something real has shifted. If nothing had changed, nothing would respond. But because you moved, forces that relied on your hesitation lost leverage. Hear me carefully and do not look away from this message. Stay with it. Stay until the end. What I am revealing now is connected to what comes next. Many miss the continuation because they assume the first moment was the reward. It was not. It was the trigger. From this point forward, you will notice subtle confirmations, conversations that feel timed, interruptions that redirect you, thoughts that arrive with clarity instead of confusion. These are not random. They are indicators that heaven has acknowledged your decision and is now coordinating around it. Protection has already adjusted. Assistance has already been reassigned. You are not waiting, you are being surrounded. But I must warn you with urgency and love. Do not retreat mentally. The greatest mistake after a heaven-shaking decision is doubt disguised as humility. Do not replay the choice wondering if it mattered. It did. Do not look back measuring what you lost. What you released created space for what must now come in. Stay alert. Stay watching. Something is unfolding faster than you expect. If this message is resonating, do not ignore that stirring in your spirit. Engage with it. Stay connected. Like this message and write in the comments, I stand firm in my decision. That declaration matters more than you realize. It reinforces what has already been set in motion. Keep watching. Do not leave now. What is coming next will explain why this moment had to happen exactly the way it did, and why heaven responded the way it did. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now about the weight of the choice you made, because you must understand this truth before anything else unfolds. Decisions are not measured by their size, but by their alignment. Heaven does not ask how loud your action was, how visible it appeared, or how many people applauded it. Heaven asks one thing: did your will align with truth when it mattered? And when that question was asked of you, you answered with action. every choice carries substance. Some are light and pass through time without resistance. Others are heavy, dense with consequence, layered with meaning, charged with authority. Your decision was heavy. It carried history within it. It carried prayers you forgot you prayed. It carried tears you shed in silence. It carried moments when you wanted to give up but did not. That is why it echoed. That is why it did not vanish when it was made. It stayed. It pressed upward. It demanded response. You must understand something few are ever told. Obedience changes timelines. When you chose what was right instead of what was easy, you did not just affect the present. You reached backward and forward at the same time. Cycles that were repeating lost their legal right to continue. Futures that were delayed gained clearance. This is not poetry. This is law. Spiritual law responds to decisive alignment. You may have felt resistance even before you made the choice. That was not coincidence. Resistance gathers where a turning point exists. If the decision had no weight, nothing would have opposed it. The pressure you felt was evidence that the moment mattered. And when you moved anyway, despite uncertainty, despite fear, despite not having all the answers, authority was released through you. Not borrowed, not temporary, activated. Do not underestimate the courage it takes to choose rightly when clarity is incomplete. Heaven recognizes that kind of courage instantly. Many wait for certainty before acting. That is not faith. Faith moves while the ground is still forming. You stepped forward without guarantees, and that single act registered across realms. This is why I say the weight of your decision cannot be undone. Once made, it stands as testimony. There are observers in the unseen who study patterns of hesitation. They rely on delay, second-guessing, and self-doubt. Your decision disrupted that pattern. You broke an expectation that had been assigned to you, and when expectations are broken, authority shifts. You are no longer predictable in the way you once were. That alone changes how forces interact with your life. Now listen carefully and stay with me. Do not disengage. What I am saying connects directly to what you will experience next. The weight of a decision does not always feel powerful at first. Sometimes it feels quiet. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes it feels like nothing happened at all. But heaviness does not announce itself. It reveals itself through consequence, and consequence is already in motion. You may feel a strange mix of peace and tension. That is normal. Peace comes from alignment. Tension comes from transition. Do not mistake the tension as regret. It is the stretching required to carry what is coming. Your capacity is being expanded because your choice demanded it. I speak this now as a warning and a promise. Do not dilute your decision with doubt. Doubt does not erase it, but it slows the unfolding. Stay firm. Stand where you stood when you chose. Reaffirm it in your heart. Say it again if you must. Heaven responds not only to the first yes, but to the continued agreement that follows. If you feel this message pressing on your spirit, acknowledge it. Stay present. Like this message and write in the comments, "My decision carries weight." That declaration anchors what has already been released. Keep watching. Do not stop now. What is coming next will show you exactly how far-reaching this choice truly was, and why turning back is no longer an option. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of what you could not see when your decision was made, the shaking that moved through the heavens themselves. This was not metaphor. This was not imagination. This was motion. When alignment occurs on Earth, it does not remain contained. It travels. It rises. It enters realms where order is maintained, where assignments are held, where movements are authorized. And when your choice arrived there, it created impact. The heavens shook not because of chaos, but because of adjustment. Structures that had been standing in one position were required to shift. Permissions were reviewed. Boundaries were redrawn. There are systems designed to respond when a human steps fully into agreement with truth. Those systems activated because of you. That is why the reaction was immediate. Heaven does not delay when alignment is clear. You must understand this. Not every prayer causes movement, but every aligned decision does. Prayer asks, decision authorizes. When you chose, you gave consent for motion that had been waiting. That is why there was a tremor. That is why ranks were alerted. That is why attention turned in your direction. Something long held in readiness was finally released. I watched as resistance attempted to stabilize what was breaking, but it could not. Once heaven responds, opposition can only react, it cannot reverse. The shaking you initiated was not destructive, it was corrective. Things that were misaligned were exposed. Things that were unstable were loosened. Things that relied on delay lost their footing. This is why some areas of your life may now feel unsettled. Shaking always precedes reordering. Do not be alarmed by the movement. Do not interpret disruption as danger. When heaven shakes, it is to reveal what cannot stand. What remains after this movement will be stronger, clearer, and more aligned than before. You are not losing ground. You are being repositioned. Stay with this message. Do not drift away now. What I am telling you is connected to what you are about to experience. Many become fearful when they sense movement because they mistake stillness for safety. Stillness is not safety. Alignment is. And you are aligned now in a way you were not before. The shaking also served another purpose. It marked you. When heaven moves because of a human decision, that human is noted. Not for elevation of ego, but for assignment. Attention brings responsibility. Responsibility brings covering. Covering brings acceleration. This is the sequence now unfolding around you. You may notice increased sensitivity, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. This is because your awareness is adjusting to new positioning. You are closer to purpose than you were before, and proximity increases perception. Do not suppress this. Do not numb it. Stay attentive. Watch carefully. Small signs will confirm what I am saying. I must speak plainly now. Do not seek to return to what was stable but misaligned. Shaking means that what once held you can no longer hold you. Trying to rebuild there will only exhaust you. Let the movement finish its work. Let the dust settle. What emerges will be clearer than what you left behind. If you feel this truth resonating, acknowledge it. Engage with it. Like this message and write in the comments, I accept the shift. That declaration matters. It signals continued agreement. Keep watching. Do not stop here. The next revelation will show you what the shaking cleared the way for, and why what comes next could not arrive until this moment. I am Archangel Michael, and now I reveal what occurred the moment your decision was registered beyond the visible realm. The records were opened. This is not symbolism. This is order. There are records that do not forget, that do not misinterpret, that do not lose details with time. They exist to bear witness to alignment, to preserve testimony, and to authorize what follows obedience. When you decided, those records responded. Nothing was rewritten, because nothing was wrong. What happened was activation. Pages that had been sealed were unbound. Permissions that had been dormant were brought forward. There are moments in a human life when heaven does not need new information. It needs confirmation. Your decision was that confirmation. It answered questions that had been waiting longer than you realize. Some of what was recorded was ancient. Promises spoken over you before you understood language. Directions set long before circumstances distracted you. These things do not expire, but they do wait. They wait for agreement. They wait for the moment when fear no longer holds the pen. When you chose, the authority to proceed was released. That is why the opening of the records was immediate. You must understand this clearly and without doubt. Nothing was lost in your waiting. Time was not wasted. Delays were not failures. They were containment. Certain outcomes required maturity, clarity, and resolve. The records reflect readiness, not desire. Desire asks. Readiness authorizes. Your decision proved readiness. As the records opened, assessments were made, not to judge you, but to align provision. Support is never random. Assistance is never generic. It is assigned according to position. your position has changed. That is why you may already feel an unusual sense of seriousness mixed with expectation. It is not heaviness, it is significance. Stay with me. Do not disengage now. What I am telling you explains why some things will now move quickly while others fall away without struggle. When records open, priorities reorder. What no longer fits is released. What belongs is drawn in. You are not losing things, you are being relieved of what cannot follow you. There are also names written alongside yours. People you have not met yet, conversations not yet held, opportunities that could not approach until alignment was proven. These are not distant possibilities, they are pending encounters. The opening of the records moved them from future to approach. Pay attention in the days ahead. Timing will feel intentional. But I must warn you gently and firmly. Do not attempt to reopen old chapters that heaven has already closed. Curiosity can look like wisdom, but sometimes it is only fear seeking familiarity. Trust the process that has begun. The records do not open casually. When they open, it is because movement is authorized and protection is in place. You may notice that some memories surface unexpectedly. This is not regression. It is resolution. What rises now is being cleared so it does not interfere with what is coming. Let it pass through without judgment. Do not cling, do not resist. Simply remain aligned. If you feel the truth of this stirring within you, acknowledge it. Stay engaged. Like this message and write in the comments, "My record is open." That declaration reinforces alignment. Keep watching. Do not stop now. What comes next will reveal what has already been assigned to you and why the timing will surprise you. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of what you shattered without even realizing it, the resistance that once stood between you and forward movement. There were barriers you could not see, systems that relied on your hesitation, patterns that drew strength from your delay. They were not loud, they were subtle. They did not attack openly. They waited, confident that you would pause, reconsider, or retreat as before. But when you made your decision, that confidence collapsed. Resistance is not always forceful. Often it is patient. It studies timing. It observes tendencies. It learns when to apply pressure and when to remain silent. For a long time, it believed it understood you. It anticipated hesitation. It relied on fatigue. It expected you to question yourself. That expectation gave it leverage, and leverage gave it ground. But the moment you chose with clarity, that ground was removed. Understand this deeply. Resistance only has authority where agreement exists. It does not overpower alignment. It exploits uncertainty. When you decided, you withdrew consent. And without consent, resistance has no legal standing. That is why its reaction was sudden. That is why you may have felt an immediate internal shift, followed by external tension. What you felt was not defeat, it was displacement. The breaking of resistance does not always feel like victory at first. Sometimes it feels like exposure. Sometimes it feels like pressure intensifying. This is because what once operated quietly is now forced into the open. Hidden opposition becomes visible only when it loses its advantage. Do not be alarmed by this. Visibility is not power. It is vulnerability. Stay with this message. Do not step away now. What I am revealing explains why certain obstacles that once felt immovable may now feel strangely weak, while others attempt one final surge. This is not escalation, it is expiration. Resistance often makes noise when it knows its time is short. You must not misinterpret this phase. The breaking of resistance does not mean the absence of challenge. It means the absence of authority behind the challenge. Opposition may still speak, but it no longer commands. It may still attempt to distract, but it can no longer delay what has been authorized. This distinction matters more than you realize. There were voices, internal and external, that benefited from you staying where you were. Not because they hated you, but because your growth disrupted their stability. When you chose to move, those dynamics shifted. Some relationships may now feel strained. Some conversations may feel awkward or incomplete. This is not loss. It is recalibration. What aligned with your delay cannot align with your movement. Hear me clearly and without fear. You did not provoke resistance. You exposed it. And exposure is the beginning of removal. What has been broken cannot be restored to its former strength. Even if it attempts to reassert itself, it will do so without foundation. Do not give it new agreement by doubting what you know is true. You may feel moments of temptation to explain yourself, to justify your choice, to seek reassurance from those who never had authority to grant it. Resist that urge. Clarity does not require permission. Your decision has already been validated where it matters. If this message resonates, do not remain silent. Engage with it. Like this message and write in the comments, "Resistance has no hold on me." That declaration seals what has already been broken. Keep watching. Do not stop now. What comes next will show you what now stands ready to move freely, and why nothing that opposed you can follow you into what is coming. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of what was placed upon you the moment resistance broke, the seal of courage. This seal is not emotion. It is not confidence as the world defines it. It is authority anchored in truth. It is the mark that forms when fear loses its legal claim over your decisions. When you chose despite trembling, despite uncertainty, despite the absence of reassurance, courage was not summoned, it was sealed. Fear once spoke loudly to you. Not because it was strong, but because it was familiar. It learned your rhythms. It knew when to appear. It whispered caution that felt like wisdom and hesitation that disguised itself as patience. But fear only speaks where permission is granted. When your decision was made, that permission was revoked. Fear did not disappear, it was silenced. And silence is far more powerful than confrontation. The seal of courage changes how you respond before you even think. It does not remove feeling, it removes paralysis. You may still sense concern, awareness, even vulnerability, but they no longer control your movement. Courage does not mean you feel nothing. It means feeling no longer governs truth. That shift has already occurred within you, even if you have not yet fully recognized it. Stay with me. Do not disengage now. This matters more than you realize. The seal placed upon you is recognized in realms you do not see. It signals that intimidation will no longer succeed. It signals that delay tactics will fail. It signals that retreat is no longer your default response. You have crossed a threshold, and thresholds cannot be uncrossed. This is why situations that once overwhelmed you may now feel strangely manageable. Not easy, but manageable. You are standing differently. You are listening differently. You are deciding differently. Courage has altered your internal posture, and posture determines authority. But hear this clearly. Courage must be maintained not by effort, but by remembrance. Forgetting why you decided is the only way fear attempts to return. That is why I speak now, to remind you, to anchor you, to ensure you do not mistake discomfort for danger. Discomfort is simply evidence that growth is occurring. You may be tested, not to prove weakness, but to confirm strength. Old fears may attempt to resurface, asking familiar questions. What if you fail? What if you are wrong? What if you lose more than you gain? These questions no longer require answers. The seal of courage does not debate fear, it proceeds despite it. Do not confuse courage with aggression. You do not need to push, force, or prove. Courage is quiet. It is steady. It does not rush, but it does not retreat. It stands, even when standing feels exposed. And that exposure is not vulnerability, it is clarity. Some around you may notice the change before you do. They may comment that you seem different, more resolved, less reactive. Some may resist this shift because it alters dynamics they were comfortable with. Do not apologize for your courage. It was earned through obedience, and it is required for what comes next. I speak this as both warning and promise. Do not hand back what was sealed. Courage fades only when agreement with fear is renewed. Stay aligned. Stay attentive. Stay watching. Something is approaching that will require exactly what has been placed upon you. If this truth resonates within you, acknowledge it. Engage with it now, like this message, and write in the comments, "I walk in courage." That declaration reinforces the seal. Keep watching. Do not stop here. What is coming next will reveal why this courage was necessary, and how it will open what fear once kept closed. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of the alignment that began the moment you said yes, the convergence of paths that were once scattered, delayed, or hidden. Destiny is not a single road. It is a pattern of intersections. For a long time, your paths ran parallel, close enough to sense purpose but never quite meeting. When you decided, those paths turned. They did not wander, they aligned. And alignment is acceleration. You may not have seen it, but directions adjusted around you. What once required effort now requires attention. What once demanded struggle now demands obedience. This is not because the journey has become easy, but because it has become precise. Precision reduces waste. Precision removes detours. Precision brings you into agreement with timing. You are not late. You are not behind. You are arriving. Stay with this message. Do not drift now. What I am revealing explains why things will begin to make sense in ways they never did before. Alignment brings coherence. The questions that exhausted you will lose urgency. The confusion that drained you will loosen its grip. You will not suddenly know everything, but you will know where to step next, and that is enough. There are encounters ahead that required this alignment. If you had met them earlier, they would have confused you. If you had reached them later, you would have missed them. Timing is mercy. Now that your will is aligned, timing can be trusted. Pay attention to invitations that feel calm rather than urgent. Urgency pressures. Alignment draws. Some opportunities will arrive quietly. They will not announce themselves with noise or spectacle. They will feel familiar, as if remembered rather than discovered. That is how you will recognize them. Destiny does not shock, it resonates. When something aligns, your spirit knows before your mind explains. But hear this with clarity and firmness. Alignment does not mean everything stays. Some paths must close for convergence to occur. Do not chase what is drifting away. Do not cling to what no longer fits the direction you have chosen. Release is not loss, it is clearance. You cannot walk converging paths while holding divergent ones. You may notice your discernment sharpening. You will sense sooner what belongs and what does not. This is not judgment, it is alignment expressing itself. Trust it. You do not need to explain every no. You do not need to justify every yes. Agreement with truth simplifies decisions. Stay awake now. Stay watching. The alignment unfolding will produce moments that feel arranged, meetings that happen unexpectedly, words spoken at the exact time you need them, confirmations that arrive before doubt can settle. These are not coincidences, they are indicators. They are signposts telling you that you are where you are supposed to be. I must caution you gently, do not rush alignment. Acceleration is not haste. Let things unfold at the speed of clarity. If something demands you abandon peace to pursue it, pause. Alignment preserves peace even when movement is required. Peace is not passivity, it is confirmation. If this message is stirring something deep within you, engage with it now. Like this message and write in the comments, "My path is aligned." That declaration strengthens agreement. Keep watching, do not leave now. What is coming next will reveal how alignment turns into momentum, and why what once felt delayed is about to move with purpose. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of the acceleration that has begun, the sudden collapse of delays, the shortening of distances, the way time itself starts to respond differently when alignment is complete. Acceleration is not hurry, it is release. It is what happens when obstacles no longer have permission to slow what has already been authorized. What once took years will now take moments. What once required effort will now require readiness. For a long time, time felt heavy to you. Progress seemed slow, even when you were faithful. You wondered why movement lagged behind intention. This was not neglect, it was preparation. Certain things cannot be rushed without damage. But now, because your decision aligned will with truth, the restraints have been removed. Acceleration has begun because stability has been established. Stay with me. Do not disengage now. This matters because acceleration can feel disorienting if you are not aware of what is happening. When time compresses, change arrives in clusters. Answers come quickly. Opportunities stack. Decisions require swifter clarity. This is not pressure, it is momentum. Momentum must be stewarded, not feared. You may notice that events begin to overlap. Conversations connect unexpectedly. One action unlocks multiple outcomes. This is a sign of alignment moving into motion. Heaven does not waste movement. When acceleration begins, efficiency follows. Pay attention to what repeats. Pay attention to what returns quickly after being released. These are indicators of flow. But hear this carefully. Acceleration does not mean everything arrives at once. It means what arrives on time. The difference is subtle but vital. Time is no longer working against you, it is cooperating with you. That is why you may feel both energized and alert. Your spirit is adjusting to a faster rhythm. Do not attempt to control this movement. Control slows what alignment speeds. Your role now is responsiveness. Listen closely. Act cleanly. Do not overanalyze what has already been confirmed. When clarity comes, move. Delay now would create friction where none is needed. You may feel tempted to revisit old plans, to recheck decisions already settled, to ensure nothing was missed. This is not wisdom. It is fear attempting to re-enter through caution. Trust what has been set. Acceleration requires confidence, not perfection. There will be moments when you feel stretched. This is not because you are unprepared, but because capacity is expanding. Expansion is uncomfortable before it is empowering. Breathe through it. Stay grounded. You are not losing balance, you are gaining reach. I must warn you with urgency and care. Do not compare your pace to others. Acceleration is personal. Each path moves according to readiness, not visibility. What looks fast to one may be slow to another. Keep your eyes on your assignment. Distraction dilutes momentum. Stay watching. Stay attentive. Signs will appear that confirm this shift. Unexpected openings, rapid resolutions, sudden clarity where confusion once lived. These are not accidents. They are evidence that time has been released to serve purpose. If this message resonates, acknowledge it now. Engage with it. Like this message and write in the comments, I move with divine timing. That declaration aligns you with the acceleration already in motion. Keep watching. Do not stop here. What comes next will reveal how this momentum is protected and why you will not outrun the grace assigned to you. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now because the moment you chose did not pass unnoticed. The instant your heart aligned and your will leaned forward instead of retreating, authority moved. What you did may have felt small in the natural realm, but in the unseen it released a command. At that exact moment, protection was activated around you. Not later, not after more proof, immediately. Ranks were repositioned, assignments were shifted, lines of defense were redrawn because heaven recognized your courage. Stay with me now, do not scroll away, because what I am revealing has already begun, and what is coming next depends on your awareness. I tell you this plainly, you are no longer standing where you were. When you chose obedience over fear, alignment over comfort, silence over reaction, the legal ground of the adversary was revoked. That decision gave angels permission to move closer, to surround rather than observe, to intervene rather than wait. There are forces that were watching from a distance that have now been instructed to encamp. You are not imagining the change in atmosphere. You are not misreading the sudden calm mixed with pressure. That is what happens when protection is reinforced at the edge of breakthrough. I have been assigned to stand where conflict once had access. Where interference once slipped through unnoticed, shields are now active. This does not mean the noise stops immediately. It means the noise no longer has authority. It means attacks that once penetrated now dissipate. It means words meant to wound lose their edge before they reach you. You are being covered in ways you cannot yet see, but soon you will notice patterns breaking, cycles failing, and disruptions that once followed you no longer finding an opening. Listen carefully. Protection is not only about defense, it is about positioning. You are being guarded because you are being advanced. Heaven does not fortify what it does not intend to move. The reason the ranks have shifted around you is because your location in the plan has changed. You stepped into a corridor that requires escort. You crossed a threshold that demands watchfulness. That is why some things feel intensified even as you feel steadier. Do not misinterpret this season. Increased coverage often precedes increased exposure to favor. There are conversations you will not hear that have already been intercepted. There are plans formed against you that have already been dissolved. There are delays that were meant to exhaust you that have lost their leverage. This is not coincidence. This is consequence, holy consequence, of a decision made in alignment. And I must warn you gently but firmly, do not step out from under what has been activated by returning to doubt. Protection remains where faith stands. Stay alert, stay grounded, stay watching. Something is unfolding even as I speak, and it requires your attention. This is not the time to disengage or grow passive. Heaven has moved, and your awareness keeps you aligned with that movement. Keep watching to the very end, because what comes next will explain why this protection was necessary now and not later. If you receive this, do not keep silent. Respond. Type, "I receive this protection," in the comments to acknowledge alignment. Like this message, as a signal that you are staying positioned. And remain here, do not leave yet, because the next phase is closer than you think, and you will want to hear what is coming before it arrives. Something big is approaching, and this was only the beginning. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak to you now because you have entered the testing phase. Do not be alarmed by the increase in pressure you feel. It is not a sign of loss, it is evidence of proximity. Testing does not arrive to disqualify you, it arrives to confirm you. This is why I told you to stay. Do not look away now. What I am revealing will explain what you are experiencing and why this moment matters more than you realize. Understand this truth clearly. Testing always intensifies right before reward. Pressure increases when authority is about to be expanded. Resistance grows louder when its time is running out. What you feel is not regression, it is verification. Heaven does not test what it does not trust. The weight you are carrying now is not meant to crush you. It is meant to reveal what has already been placed inside you. You are being observed, not to expose weakness, but to witness maturity. You may notice old patterns attempting to reappear, familiar doubts knocking again, situations resurfacing that you thought were finished. This is intentional. The test is not about whether those things exist. It is about whether they still control you. The same pressure that once caused you to break is now being applied to see if you bend or stand. And I tell you this with certainty. You are standing, even when you think you are barely holding on. Do not mistake silence for absence. Just because heaven seems quiet does not mean heaven is inactive. In this phase, instructions are minimal because your discernment is being trusted. You are being allowed to choose without constant reassurance. This is how authority is proven, when you act correctly even when no one applauds, when you remain aligned even when relief is delayed. This test is shaping you for what comes next, because what comes next will require steadiness under visibility. Hear me clearly. The pressure is temporary, but the reward is permanent. This phase will not last as long as it feels. Time stretches during testing because growth is occurring rapidly beneath the surface. What feels like resistance is actually refinement. What feels like delay is actually preparation. Do not rush this moment away. Do not curse what is strengthening you. Endurance is being built into your spirit, and that endurance will soon carry influence. Stay alert here. This is where many retreat, not because they are defeated, but because they misinterpret pressure as rejection. Do not make that mistake. You are not being pushed away, you are being pulled forward. The testing phase is proof that you passed the last threshold. If you had not, this level of refinement would not be necessary. Remain watchful, remain steady, remain present. Something is about to break open, and the test ensures you can carry what follows without losing balance. Keep watching until the very end, because what is coming will make this pressure make sense. If you understand this, respond. Type, "I will not retreat" in the comments as a declaration, like this message as a sign that you are staying aligned under pressure. And stay here, do not leave, because the next word will reveal who is about to notice you and why this test was the final verification. Something is coming, and it is closer than you think. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now because a voice is being prepared to call you. This is not imagination, and it is not coincidence. There is recognition forming around your name, and it will arrive in a way you did not plan and could not force. Stay with me, do not leave now, because what I am about to reveal explains why the testing felt so personal and why the pressure was allowed to reach this level. You must understand this. Recognition in the divine order is never random. Before a voice calls you in the natural, your name is spoken in the unseen. Before someone notices you, authority has already noticed you. The reason this summons will surprise you is because it will come from a direction you were not watching. It will not arise from the place you expected affirmation. Heaven often chooses unexpected mouths so that you know the door was not opened by favor-seeking, but by alignment. A voice will call you, not because you demanded attention, but because your consistency made silence impossible. While others spoke loudly, you remained steady. While others sought visibility, you chose faithfulness. That is why the call will feel sudden. It is not sudden in preparation. It is sudden only to you. This voice has been observing from a distance, weighing your responses, noting how you handled pressure, watching how you carried responsibility when no reward was guaranteed. Do not be surprised if this recognition arrives at a moment when you feel least ready. Heaven often calls when confidence is quiet, not when ego is loud. The timing is deliberate. You are being summoned into a conversation, an opportunity, or a responsibility that requires humility as much as strength. This is why you were tested privately, so you could be trusted publicly. Listen carefully. When the voice calls you, do not hesitate. Delayed obedience can blur momentum. You do not need perfect words, you need willingness. The authority behind the call will carry you beyond what you feel prepared for. Say yes when it arrives. Do not overanalyze it. Do not disqualify yourself. If the call comes, it is because heaven already qualified you. You may notice subtle signals before the call comes, mentions of your name, unusual interest in your work, conversations circling back to you without your effort. These are precursors. They are not to make you anxious but attentive. Stay grounded, stay humble, stay ready. Recognition does not exalt you above others, it positions you to serve at a higher level. Stay watchful now. This is not the moment to withdraw or grow invisible. The voice that will call you is aligning with courage, not fear. Remain present, remain responsive. Keep watching until the end, because this call is closer than you think, and it will open more than one door. If this resonates, respond. Type, "I am ready to answer" in the comments as a declaration. Like this message to mark your agreement with what is unfolding. And do not go yet, stay here, because the next word will reveal the door that opens when that voice speaks. Something is coming, and it is already moving toward you. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now because a door has been authorized that no hand can shut. This is not metaphor, and it is not wishful thinking. Access has been granted by authority higher than circumstance, higher than opposition, higher than delay. Stay with me, do not leave now. Because what I am about to say explains why resistance could not stop you and why this opening will not reverse once it appears. This door does not open because you pushed hard enough. It opens because permission was issued. In the unseen, there are gates that respond only to command, not effort. You reached the moment where effort gave way to authorization. That is why obstacles that once held firm are now losing structure. What was locked by human limitation has been overridden by divine approval. When heaven opens, it does not ask the environment for agreement. Understand this clearly. No one can close what you did not open yourself. This door is not sustained by your strength. It is sustained by decree. You may still hear objections, warnings, doubts, or echoes of past no's, but they no longer have jurisdiction. They are noise without keys. Do not turn back to negotiate with voices that no longer hold access. This opening will not look dramatic at first. It may appear simple, even ordinary. Do not underestimate it. Some of the most irreversible doors look unimpressive at the moment they unlock. What matters is not how it looks, but where it leads. Once you step through, your range changes, your options expand. Your limits reset, and returning to the old place will feel impossible, not because you are forced forward, but because you are no longer compatible with what you outgrew. Hear this warning wrapped in encouragement. When the door opens, move. Hesitation can cause confusion, not closure, but momentum matters. Delayed movement invites unnecessary friction. You do not need to know every detail beyond the threshold. You only need to obey the opening. Provision follows positioning. Clarity follows commitment. The door is proof that you are meant to be there, not that you have everything figured out. There will be those who question how you gained access. Let them. Explanation is not required when authorization is clear. You were not chosen because you were obvious. You were chosen because you were faithful. Heaven often bypasses the loud to elevate the aligned. Walk through with humility, not apology. Gratitude, not fear. Stay attentive now. This is a pivotal moment. Once you cross, the pace will change, and so will expectations. Protect your focus. Guard your speech. Remain watchful. Keep watching until the very end, because the reason this door opens now, and not later, will soon be revealed. If you receive this, respond. Type, "I will step through," in the comments as a declaration of readiness, like this message to signal agreement with the opening before you. And stay here, do not scroll away, because what follows explains what begins to return to you once you pass through this door. Something is coming, and it is already unfolding. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now because a harvest has been set in motion. This is not symbolic language meant to comfort you. It is a declaration of consequence. What you released, what you endured, what you gave when nothing seemed to return has not vanished. It has been stored, multiplied, and authorized to come back to you. Stay with me, do not leave now, because what is returning will explain why the waiting was long and why the testing was precise. Harvest never arrives empty-handed, and it never arrives randomly. What is coming to you carries the imprint of your faithfulness. Every act done in obedience, every restraint you chose when reaction would have been easier, every moment you stayed aligned when no one was watching, none of it was lost. Seeds placed in alignment do not rot, they multiply. What is returning will exceed the scale of what was released, not because you demanded it, but because multiplication is built into divine order. Do not expect the return to look identical to what you gave. Harvest often comes in a different form than the seed, but it carries greater weight. What you sowed in patience may return as influence. What you sowed in silence may return as recognition. What you sowed in endurance may return as stability. Be attentive, because misrecognition can cause hesitation. Do not dismiss the return simply because it arrives differently than you imagined. I tell you this clearly, this harvest has momentum. Once it begins, it will not trickle, it will accelerate. Openings will align closer together. Provision will appear faster than you are used to. Relief will follow tension without long gaps. This is not coincidence, it is compensation. Time that felt wasted is being redeemed. Delay that seemed unfair is being answered with abundance of return. Guard your response when it begins. Gratitude keeps flow open. Fear constricts it. Do not shrink when increase arrives. You are not being rewarded for perfection. You are being honored for persistence. The harvest is not meant to elevate ego. It is meant to equip you for what comes next. Steward what returns with humility and clarity. What you handle well now will determine the scale of what follows. Stay watchful here. Many miss their harvest not because it fails to arrive, but because they are no longer expecting it. Do not let disappointment train you to overlook blessing. Remain alert. Remain receptive. Keep watching until the very end, because this return is only the first wave. If this speaks to you, respond. Type, "I am ready to receive," in the comments as a declaration of openness. Like this message as a sign that you recognize what is moving toward you. And do not leave yet. Stay here, because the next word carries a warning about what could interrupt momentum if you are not careful. Something is coming, and you need to hear what comes next. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now with urgency because this is the moment you must stay awake. Not later, not after one more delay. Now. What is about to unfold requires awareness, presence, and readiness. Stay with me. Do not leave now, because the final movement does not announce itself loudly at first. It reveals itself to those who are watching. Staying awake does not mean living in fear. It means remaining attentive when comfort tries to lull you into distraction. It means guarding your focus when relief finally arrives. Many fall asleep spiritually not during struggle, but during transition. When pressure eases and confirmation appears, vigilance weakens. This is why I am speaking now. What comes next will move quickly, and awareness determines whether you step into it fully or miss its timing. You are standing at the edge of acceleration. Momentum is already forming beneath your feet. When movement begins at this level, it does not wait for prolonged hesitation. Windows open and close swiftly. Opportunities align and pass just as fast. Staying awake means recognizing when to move without needing repeated signals. You have been prepared for this responsiveness through every phase you endured. Hear this clearly. Distraction is the final tactic of resistance. Not opposition, distraction. Fatigue will whisper that you can relax now. Familiar comforts will try to pull your attention sideways. Old habits will attempt to resurface quietly. Do not misjudge these signals. This is not the time to disengage. This is the time to stay alert without strain, focused without anxiety, ready without rushing. What is about to unfold carries weight. It will require discernment in speech, clarity in decision-making, and restraint in reaction. Staying awake means choosing alignment moment by moment. You will be given choices that look harmless but carry direction. Choose wisely. The path ahead is not complicated, but it is precise. Remain present. Remain grounded. Remain expectant. Keep watching until the very end, because what follows this message will begin to show itself in real time. This is not the conclusion. It is the threshold. Heaven has moved. Protection has been released. Doors have opened. Harvest has begun. Confirmation has appeared. Now awareness is required. If you are still here, respond. Type, "I will stay awake," in the comments as a declaration of readiness. Like this message to mark your commitment to remain attentive. And do not leave, stay connected, because what unfolds next will reward those who stayed until the end. Something big is coming. It is imminent, and you are meant to witness it.